Hi, I'm Amonda, and thank you for joining me today with Talk It Up. Today I'm going to speak with someone who has shown us that we can overcome any obstacle. No matter how far down the pit we've gone, we can rise above that. This gentleman has proven that over time, if you take responsibility, personal responsibility, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything you want to do. I have Matt Hirschberg with me today. And Matt has written a book called Bad Medicine. And I was so inspired by this book that I asked Matt to join me today so we could talk about this. It truly is amazing what Matt has been through. Matt had a wonderful childhood. The rest of us had a wonderful childhood. And somehow along the way, Matt just got on the wrong path. And from a life of crime and addiction and felonies and prison time, Matt rose above that. He has become an outstanding citizen, someone who has tons to offer to the community. And we want to talk about that today and see your story, how you rose above that, what you've done, and how you're making such a difference in other people's lives. Because you made a difference in mine. I love the book. So, Matt, you grew up in a house that was very privileged. You were a privileged person.
Very much so.
And somewhere along the line, though, you took a wrong turn.
I did, and again, my dad was actually Winchester's first plastic surgeon, so you could definitely say that I didn't want for anything, and I had whatever opportunities I wanted before me.
Right.
And in elementary school, I was really the coolest kid I knew. I mean, seemed like I had my act together. I got good grades, had tons of friends. But my first day of middle school, I quickly realized something changed over that summer. I don't understand how it changed, but I went from being the coolest kid I knew to all but ostracized from my friends. I began getting bullied for my privilege status. And I just didn't know how to cope.
Right.
I really tried everything that I could think of just to fit in. I tried being an athlete, and bless my heart, I tried and tried and tried, but it was just a no-go.
Right.
And it stumbled me down a life of drugs and crime, and ultimately to what became my first career is a gangsta. And I was actually pretty good at it for a while. Until one day I woke up with a $10,000 a month drug habit and awaiting a 4-year federal prison sentence.
Right. So it's a lot to deal with. That's a whole lot to deal with. So to back it up a little,
sure,
to see where you've been and where you are now, tell me how, because of all that, how did you actually decide a career in the fitness industry, though? What led you from that to this?
So I was introduced to fitness 2 years into my federal prison sentence. At that point in time, I had gained 100 pounds, so I was 100 pounds overweight. I was on 6 different antidepressant, anti-anxiety medications.
Wow.
And they actually thought that I potentially may have a leaking heart valve.
Wow.
They took me, I had a stress test done, brought me back to the compound, and I was kind of venting with a mentor of such that really took me under his wing the entire time I was in prison. And he happened to used to be a personal trainer. So as I tell him my sob story about poor woe me and all these kinds of things, he paused and he was like, "Have you ever thought about working out?" I was like, "Well, no, why would I do that?" So I thought about it for a couple days, and I went back to him and asked if I was to do that, what would that look like and how would I even begin? So he got me started on a walking program.
Right.
And sure enough, one thing led to another, and I started to feel better.
Right.
So he continued to work with me on my nutrition, started adding in weights. I coordinated with my psychiatrist to slowly get off all the medications and just spent a lot of time working on me. And for the first time in my life, had some sort of identity and a start of being okay with me.
Now you're talking about all this took place in prison.
Yes.
This was in prison. This was not outside of prison.
No, this was...
So this mentor was someone that you were jailed with.
Absolutely.
Yes. How amazing is that you were put with that person?
Yeah, it was...
Terrible circumstances, good for you though.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah,
So that brings me to a question of, you became an addict. You were addicted to many things: the money, the greed, the drugs, the glory, what you felt was self-esteem and power.
Sure.
So, a lot of kids today are bullied. That's just society's way right now. Everybody has a reason they bully someone. Statistics show that there are two main reasons people are bullied. One is because they are poor. They can't dress like you and I dress. They can't, they have reduced meals at lunch, things like that. And so they're bullied for that, which is sad, okay? Then there's people like you who are very privileged, and they're bullied for that reason, which, scientists say and psychologists say it's because it's a jealousy issue with other kids. So the only way they know how to belittle you is to bully and make you feel as bad as they feel about not being in your situation, okay? So my question for you to think about, what is your thinking on children who are bullied who become addicts? Do you think you would have been an addict and led that life had you not been bullied, or do you think you were genetically predispositioned to become an addict? What do you think? I mean, science is divided on that.
Sure.
Either you have the gene or you don't, but do you think you were kind of forced into it, or do you think it would have happened anyway?
Well, let me answer the first part of the question. As far as bullying is concerned, it is a problem.
It is a problem.
And it's not just a problem with our youth. Adults are bullied all the time.
They are. You're right.
It's not something that really goes away. And I think that it boils down to just the hostility and jealousy and all these feelings that people don't know what to do with. So they tend to project them or take them out on other individuals.
Right.
For self-validation. I mean, they're looking for self-validation, and it's almost as if someone, when they're drowning, they're just trying to stay above water. They don't think about who they're pulling down or really what their actions directly are. Oftentimes, I don't believe it's malicious. It's their coping mechanism. Now, as far as the addiction piece, I think there is a very real thing when it comes to genetic predisposition. About 50% of the addiction cycle does come from genes, but just, as high cholesterol or anything like that, just because you're predisposed, it doesn't doom you to have to battle that for your entire life. You need to be more aware of it. You're more susceptible. So I think in my specific case, I don't have a huge family history of addiction. Some alcoholism, so that may have came into play. I think for me, it was a lack of coping skills. I think the drugs were secondary. I think I was just looking for some type of way to, one, elevate my status, to try to fit in, and two, escape what I was feeling, because it was just horrible. It was not a warm and fuzzy rainbows and unicorns kind of thing, and I just wanted that to go away.
So what made you change then? Why did you could have done your prison time, and you could have actually picked someone in there that was not a mentor to you, but someone who was going to say, now next time this is how you do it and I get caught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what made you decide that, this isn't for me, I need something different?
Well, for me, I was actually clean when I went to federal prison. I decided to change my lifestyle 6 to 12 months before the federal indictments came out. I got a job. I started dating a girl who introduced me to church, and I was ready to sail off in the sunset, a changed man. And even though I had made a couple good decisions, those few good decisions were not enough to offset the hundreds of poor ones I had previously made.
Right.
You know, so what initiated that change is, for me, the writing was on the wall that what I was looking for was not down the path I was headed.
Right.
I exhausted my search, and again, most people are not searching for drugs per se. They're searching for something, whether that be self-validation or escaping some horrible trauma in their life, or sometimes it's just an innocent thing that they were introduced to
Right.
through medication from a surgery, and just something that quick clicks within them that now they have to own that and battle it. So for me, it was a choice that I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew what I currently was doing was not going to yield the result that I so desperately wanted.
Right. So you set your mind to creating a better you, period. And you did have a hard journey. In your book, it's so obvious that your whole journey through this was up and down and up and down and up. And by the time you thought you had something in place, that would fall apart. So then you would do something else and that would fall apart. So tell me what the journey was like for you when you were a 6-time convicted felon, okay? And you're wanted. At one point, you were wanted, you escaped, you were on the run. So what was that like? I mean, how did that affect you as a person with the goals you wanted, and yet now here you are, trying to escape that kind of a past? Tell me how that fits all in.
Well, to be honest with you, it was an improbable journey, if you will. I'd love to share more about that, and I anticipate really opening up about that at our upcoming event,
Yep, absolutely.
Along with some other really key things.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in the midst of that, it's you can't see the big picture. So from now, you looking back and you read this roller coaster of events,
Which it was,
absolutely. These constant, as you said, ups and downs. When you're in the thick of it, you're in the now,
Right.
It's just this piece, and you can't step back and see that.
Right.
So oftentimes, especially with any type of addiction or problematic relationships that people are in, when you're there, you can't see it. Outside looking in,
Right.
it's so obvious, and that's why, when we get into some of these things, that they really affect the entire family unit and your whole context sphere, because people are so desperately trying to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And to them, it's obvious that you're just imploding and self-destructing.
And to you, it's not.
To you, it's
everything
not.
is fine.
Yeah,
I'm good. Leave me be.
Yeah, I've got a plan in place, and it's
That's
working
right.
great for me right now.
That's right. So what do you tell other people now? I mean, we were going to say younger
Yeah.
people, but it is everyone. It's people your age, my age, older. What do you tell people now when you see them heading in this spiral? What do you say? How do you address them?
I try to give people information to
Okay.
hopefully make a better decision.
Right.
One thing I know is it's really hard to change someone's mind
Right.
once they've made it up. But
Right.
what's easier and oftentimes more effective is giving them new or different information, which allows them to potentially make a different choice. So I really try to focus on making sure they're informed about the path they're headed down,
Right.
and then really dig into what is it they're looking for. Not what is it that they've settled for. I think one of the saddest things that I see is people who have given up on themselves and settled for a life of mediocrity.
Right.
And
I
that's
see
it.
that a lot. I do.
And if you can get somebody to dig back down and dig those dreams up from their childhood or from wherever they came from, and spark just a little bit of belief in those, to get them headed down a path in pursuit of something great, it's a lot more probable that they will be successful than trying to scare them out of
Right.
headed down a path of destruction.
Right. Which is why I wanted to talk to you today. You are such an inspiration. And it is nice to hear someone who's been there, because then you are able to help a little better than just to say, that's wrong, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's such great. And I love the book, Bad Medicine. Make sure, and everybody, get the book. Yes, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for being so honest in your book. That had to be a great leap to put it all out there in front of everyone. So I appreciate that, as I'm sure lots of people will appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.